everyone, Richard here, and welcome to Episode 8 in my Killing Floor 2 Perk Guide. Today we're going to be looking at another very powerful perk and the core of almost any team, the Commando. Commandos utilize rifles, carbines, and machine guns to deal with enemies and as such are quite flexible, being able to easily handle large groups of trash enemies or several medium-sized Zeds in quick succession. The Commando's passive perk bonuses at level 25 include 25% increased perk weapon damage, 60-meter cloaked Zed and Zed body health detection, a maximum of 6 Zed time extensions, 10% increased reload speed, night vision capabilities, and the ability to spot cloaked enemies for teammates. The Commando's throwable is the High Explosive Grenade, a relatively straightforward device with a short fuse time, perfect for busting large groups of Zeds or saving a trapped teammate. They can also be good at dispatching quarter pounds that have a tendency to spawn early on. However, this tactic should be avoided later on as more capable perks can usually handle them more efficiently. A Commando on the surface may seem like a side grade or even a downgrade to the SWAT, possessing similar trash killing capabilities without the incredibly useful flashbang. However, the Commando in the right hands has the ability to be a very substantial game changer and force multiplier thanks to some of his skills and abilities. Its biggest asset to the team, aside from its versatility against Zeds, is the Commando's Zed time extensions. With these, you can greatly increase your team's damage output. Perks like Gunslinger, SWAT, and Firebug, to name a few, are all capable of dramatically increased performance during Zed time, and thus benefit even more. The term extension in reference to Zed time extension is a bit of a misnomer, as it doesn't actually extend Zed time, but instead resets it. Because of this, you'll want to spread out your kills in Zed time as much as possible to allow the longest possible duration. As a Commando, your starting weapon will be the AR-15 Varmint Rifle, a rechambered version of the popular American rifle. Despite its diminutive caliber in comparison to other weapons in the perk, the AR-15 still packs a fair punch and is capable of dealing with most trash and medium Zeds. The biggest issues with the AR-15 are its rather inconvenient iron sights, small magazine size, slow rate of fire, and lack of full auto functionality. It's still serviceable enough to get you to a tier 3 or 4 weapon like the AK-12 or SCAR-H, as it can still defeat medium Zeds rather quickly with good aim. The next weapon available, the L85A2 or SA80, is essentially a direct upgrade from the 9mm AR-15 in every category with the exception of per shot damage. It features full auto fire at a decent rate, larger magazines, and a nice holographic sight, which helps greatly in target acquisition, especially at long range. While it does sound like a tempting upgrade on Wave 2, it is regarded as a poor value proposition, as another round of savings can allow you to purchase a tier 3 weapon regardless of game length. While it's not a bad weapon, its suboptimal damage per second makes it a rare sight in competitive builds. The first tier 3 weapon available to the Commando is the AK-12, a fully modernized version of the popular Kalashnikov design. Despite chambering a ballistically similar round to the L85, the AK-12 boasts significantly greater damage and damage per second, especially when fired in burst. Its full auto mode works well for dealing with most threats, as it will prevent you from overspraying an enemy with a burst and thus saving you precious ammunition. The burst, on the other hand, will up its puny 600 round per minute fire rate up to 1,000 with almost no delay in between salvos. Overall, the AK-12 is a very solid weapon and a staple for any competitive Commando build, and is a weapon that you'll want to learn how to use very quickly. The next tier 3 weapon is the MKB-42, a precursor to the STG and a returning favorite from the original Killing Floor. Despite its high per shot damage, almost on par with the SCAR-H, its slow fire rate and smaller than average ammo pool leaves it without a welcome home in the Commando's lineup. It's hard to argue with the rule of cool, and the MKB is definitely an aesthetically and acoustically pleasing weapon thanks to its beefy curse round. If you do wish to take it, pairing it with the AK-12 or FAL will give you the best results. The next Commando-specific weapon is the SCAR-H, a high-damage battle rifle possessing good accuracy and damage per second. While it's not top tier, it is very far from a bad weapon, and can fit into most Commando builds as a multi-function weapon especially against more durable enemies like sirens, husks, and bloats. Against trash, it can be a bit overkill, but is capable of one-shotting Sis in the body unupgraded and Alpha Clots and Slashers when upgraded to tier 5. It is also worth mentioning that the Scar also has a tighter spread factor than all of the other Commando-specific weapons, which can make a difference at very long range. The final Commando-exclusive weapon, the Stoner 63, is currently the perk's only light machine gun. While it does lack in per shot damage, it does fire from a large 75 round belt and is capable of interrupting special Z attacks thanks to its high gun hit power. This weapon, like many light machine guns, is intended to function in a suppressing role. However, it's often more effective to just outright kill Zeds or let a more efficient perk engage them. Unfortunately, while it is quite fun to use, it is often labeled as the perk's weakest weapon due to its low damage per second, heavy weight, and long reloads. The Commando does have quite a few cross-perk weapons available to it, the first of which comes from the Demolitionist, the M16 M203. While not a choice I would recommend for demo, as a Commando it is a pretty tempting choice as it offers some additional crowd control capabilities thanks to its underslung grenade launcher and relative lightweight. The main reason I wasn't very keen on the M16 as a demo weapon was the inability to take it with an upgraded RPG, or at the very least an RPG and C4. With Commando, you can take this with a variety of upgraded weapons to form a surprisingly versatile and fun build. Just don't shoot it at flesh pounds with the grenade launcher unless you absolutely have to. Your teammates will thank you. The next weapon is a tier 4 weapon from the Field Medic, the HM Tech 401 Assault Rifle or Medic Rifle, and is a surprisingly useful weapon for Commandos to take. It even allows them to kite rage Skrakes better when used in conjunction with impact rounds, as the Medic Rifle has very high stumble power. While having a dedicated medic is nice, it is often the case that no one's willing to play as a medic, or it's simply not practical to have one in your team. These cases are where having a Medic Rifle is a huge asset. You won't be as effective as a medic nor possess the extra buffs, but your extra utility and more effective weapons will more than compensate for this. A recent addition to the game, the FN FAL, is another very powerful Commando weapon, and arguably more powerful in this perk than with the Sharpshooter. Its very high damage and fire rate are only tempered by its high recoil and low ammo count, and is something the Commando has an answer to. Hollow point rounds, in addition to allowing you to deal additional damage, will also dramatically reduce recoil, making the FAL a much more pleasant weapon to shoot on full auto. Plus, the wide variety of secondary rifles, as well as the prepared skill, can largely mitigate its rather small reserve ammo pool. The FAL is also probably the Commando's best answer to large Zeds, especially with high capacity magazines, thanks to its insanely high DPS. While not very cost effective against trash, it does have some penetration power, allowing you to score collateral kills against clots, crawlers, and stalkers. The final cross-perk weapon, the HM Tech 501 Grenade Rifle, is quite obviously another field medic weapon, however trading its healing darts for more powerful healing grenades. These healing grenades create a powerful AoE cloud that heals friendly players and poisons enemies that pass through them. While the darts are by and large much more versatile, the grenades do make things more interesting and can be very powerful if used with care. The rifle portion of the 501 is rather effective too, and while its slow rate of fire prevents it from outpacing the AK-12 or FAL in damage per second, it is easily controllable and effective against weaker enemies. For skill selection, the Commando is relatively straightforward, and I would recommend high capacity magazines, fallback, tenacious, hollow point rounds, and machine gunner. The combination of high cap magazines and hollow point rounds grants the Commando the highest per mag or burst DPS, as well as the highest sustained DPS with reduced recoil as well, making weapons like the FAL and AK-12 much easier to use. Fallback will allow you not only to make your 9mm and knife stronger, but also let you swap to other weapons faster, allowing you to make better use of dual weapon loadouts. The fast weapon swap can also allow you to quickly pull out your knife to parry an incoming attack from a raging flesh pound. With 2 weapons, prepared can be a bit redundant, especially if your team includes a support, but if you are backpacking your team, it can help when you need to clutch a late game round. Finally, Machine Gunner's increased Z time fire rate allows for several shots in quick succession in Z time, increasing your probability of scoring a kill, especially against tougher foes or ones at a greater distance. The ideal spawn skills will be Tactical Reload, Fallback, Tenacity, Hollow Points, and Machine Gunner. If your team has a support, taking Eat Lead in lieu of Hollow Points will allow you to maximize ammo received from their Ammo Supplier passive skill. For weapon loadouts, due to the insane number of combinations, I will present you with a handful of focused options, designed to keep you versatile, yet proficient at killing trash and extending Z time for as long as possible. The most standard loadout will be the AK-12 with the addition of the SCAR H, FAL, HM-Tech 401, 501, or an M16 203. The AK-12's relatively cheap initial purchase cost at Tier 3 means it can be purchased as early as Wave 3 in most cases. Your secondary weapon will depend on preference, team composition, and map layout. The FAL can also be substituted as the base weapon for a loadout, pairing it up with the AK-12, SCAR H, 401, and M16. Unfortunately, its heavy weight prevents it from being used with the 501 and only allows you to upgrade one of your rifles before reaching max weight. Still, the power of the FAL, especially against big Zeds, is unrivaled for commandos. For a less practical, fun build, the Stoner 63 at Tier 5, plus the use of Tactical Reload, Always Prepared, and Eat Lead, can maximize your trash killing capabilities at the cost of almost all of your efficiency against the large and medium Zeds. Still, 150 rounds on tap is admittedly a lot of fun, and after all, what are video games for? My recommended build for a new commando is the AK-12 at Tier 5 and an HM-Tech 401 assault rifle. The AK-12 provides you with much of your killing power, being able to handle trash, medium, and large Zeds with good efficiency. While big Zed killing should almost always be left up to your sharps, slingers, and demos, it can come in handy when you're backed into a corner. Strategy for the commando, in my opinion, is the most complex out of all the perks covered thus far, as it requires a fair bit of coordination with your team to use to its full effect. Positioning a commando is very important, as they should have enough weaker enemies once Z time initiates. Generally, a commando will want to hold his own lane, or share a lane with a perk that will not interrupt his ability to extend Z time. Some perks to avoid sharing a lane with as a commando include Firebug, Demolitionist, SWAT, Berserker, and Field Medic. Firebugs, Demos, and Berserkers all cause a lot of chaos, whether it be by having to be up close and personal, or creating blinding and obstructing flames or explosions. Field Medics and SWATs are somewhat redundant, as the commando is perfectly capable of handling copious Z spawns. A Railgun or M99 Sharpshooter or Gunslinger make a good pairing, since they will generally be focusing on bigger threats once Z time hits, instead of worrying about clots. Sharpshooters benefit too from the Escort, as it allows them to focus on high-level threats as opposed to a crawler gnawing at their ankle. Your team also must respect the role of the commando, as well as not kill trash Zeds in their lane if possible. While there may be no high-value targets on your side of the map, the Z time extension may make the difference between a clean takedown or a Scrake pushing your team back. As a commando, you should also exercise similar restraint against big Zeds when a more capable perk is available to perform a takedown. There is no harm in assisting, especially once the Zed is already raged or has been stunned via flashbang, freeze grenade, or other method, but shooting a docile Scrake with a 40 mic is generally a bad idea. As mentioned earlier, make sure to spread out your kills during Z time as a commando, as they do not extend time but merely reset it. A good commando can easily get Z time to last over a dozen seconds if they time their kills properly. Also, there should be only one commando per team, as you can only reset Z time a maximum of 6 times, and this does not increase as more commandos are present. Overall, the commando is the last part of the holy killing floor trinity, with sharpshooters and gunslingers filling in the other 2 slots. Sharpshooters create Z time, commandos extend Z time, and gunslingers do their best work in Z time. While the perk may seem simple on the surface, a good commando can be a considerable force multiplier to even a novice team. If you are playing with a commando, make sure to give him the opportunity to extend Z time as much as possible and not be greedy with kills. As commando, make sure to pace your own kills and think ahead to make sure you do not block a potential follow-up kill with the slowly falling corpse of one of your victims. Let me know what you think of the commando and what your favorite weapons and loadouts are in the comment section below. Also, feel free to subscribe so you never miss a guide, and feel free to check out my Patreon page if you wish to support me further. Thanks again for joining in, but until next time, happy hunting!